Um, Today I thought I would talk about some of my astral travel experiences and maybe a lucid dream that I had. And when you experience these things, you can really tell the difference between like astral travel and when you're lucid dreaming. And I think for the most part, like lucid dreaming, which I don't have a lot of experience on either of these, but from the experiences I have had, uh, lucid dreaming is much more dreamy from my experience, and astral travel is much, it's more real, I guess. It's just like, astral travel is just like this experience. It's just like being in a body and being out in the world with trees or whatever, except for it's like a spirit realm. It's like you're a spirit, you know, uh, but it's really real. So, the first time I ever astral traveled, um, I was fixated on this idea. Uh, I had stumbled on some Robert Monroe books. I don't even know how this first got into my mind as something that one could do. I don't know, but I just know I came across Robert. I remember I went to the library and I looked up astral travel, and I came up on this dude Robert Monroe. I believe that's his name, and he has a few books, but um, I don't even know what the books are called. But Robert Monroe, and man, I was fixated on this idea, man. Like I was always thinking, like the time whenever I was dedicated to do it. I was reading his books. I was always thinking about it, and the night that I did it, man, and it was probably like a week of trying to do it every night, and like I would sit there and I would meditate before I went to sleep, and then while I was sleeping, when I would lay down on my back, even though it's uncomfortable, to fall asleep like that. I would lay down there on my back, and I would sit there and say over and over, I am out of my body, I am out of my body, I am, and I would just constant. But probably about a week of doing that every night, um, there came that night, and I was asleep. I was living in a house and I had roommates at the time, and nobody was there. Um, but I was on the couch and I had meditated beside the couch for a while, trying to, just the best I could of what I knew. And then I laid down on the couch and I was doing that over and over in my head. Uh, I am out of my body. I would say, like, um, my body is asleep, but my mind is awake. My body is asleep, but I am awake. My body is asleep, but I am awake. And I would just do that over and over until I fell asleep. And sure enough, I laid down on the couch. I was doing that, and I drifted off. I went to sleep, and at the time, this was, I think, in 2013. So this is a few years ago. Um, I was uh, I was growing marijuana at the time, and didn't really know much about it. I was just doing it, and I didn't really know much about how to sell it, or the prices or anything. And so this was on my mind too, as well, of how I was gonna sell my first harvest, and the prices and stuff. And I say that because when I drifted off to sleep, I had a dream, and it was a very, very kind of real dream, real dreamy though, not in control. And the dream was I was there in the kitchen of the house I was staying at, I was in the kitchen, and my friend at the time, he was a hustler, and in the dream I was talking to him about prices, and how to go about doing this. And yeah, and he was breaking stuff down for me or whatever. And then I was in that dream, and I started realizing that I was dreaming. As I was talking to him, he was breaking stuff down. I was like, and I was starting to become more conscious in the dream. And I was like, oh, I'm dreaming. And then as soon as I had realized this and became conscious, uh, the dream shifted, and I went into a void. That's all I can, like, I could tell I was in my body, but I was in here. I can't really explain it, but I was in a void state, like in here. And it felt as if I was like all of me was in here. I can't explain it. And it was a void state. It was just blackness and kind of like that purplish, you know how when you have those dots or whatever go across your eyes, and they kind of look like a purplish color or whatever they look like. But I was in this void, and in the middle of the blackness was that type of color thing, you know? And I was like, I'm conscious, and I knew this is it because people had talked about this in their astral experience. And I was like, this is it. And I was like, all right, come out of my body, up, 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 up. And that's what I was saying. I was saying up, like come out of my body. And I started doing it. It's like I started disconnecting from my body. And I started coming out of my body, and I was saying up, up, up. And when I came out of my body, I could see my body and the couch and the room and everything. But it was happening kind of fast because I was saying up, 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 and I kept going up. And I went through the house, through out of the roof, and I was still looking down, and I could see the house, and I could see the land and everything around it, and I kept going up. I was like, because I kept going way up. Like I was starting to go in outer space and stuff. Like I didn't made it to outer space, but I was going way up, and I was seeing everything as I was going up. And I was like, and I was like, it was too intense. I was like, stop, and sure enough, it stopped as soon as I was like, no, stop, too much. And that's the feeling I had as I was going up. It was, and that's how I woke up back on the couch. Because as soon as I said stop, I went back to my body, and I didn't like go back to my body. Like as soon as I said stop, instant, I woke up, and I woke up making that noise. That's how I woke up and rose up out of the couch. And it was crazy. It was like I woke up and I couldn't go back to sleep for a couple hours. I ended up going back to sleep, but it was a few hours later, and I was just, I got up, and I just was sitting there for a minute, and I was like, shit, did that really just happen? It was crazy. Like when you have that type of experience, it blows you away. Like it's crazy, especially when you intend to do it. Like this belief that it could be done came into my reality, and I was set on it. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna see if this is real or not. And sure enough, it's real, and that experience scared me, because from that, you would think that because I was so set on doing it, that I would have kept pursuing it, but I didn't. I was like, we're gonna put that to the side, and it really wasn't a conscious thing that I said I'm gonna put this to the side and pursue other aspects of consciousness, instead of that way. I just kind of stopped. I think it was more of a subconscious thing. It was like, okay, we showed you that this is real, but let's stay more grounded. Let's learn other things about existence before we dabble into that. Because I just stopped pursuing it like that. So that was the first time I ever came out of my body. The second time, there was more to it. I wasn't pursuing trying to do it. It was probably about, I would say a couple months after my first experience. Um, I was in the same house, but this time I was in my room, and like I said, I don't know if there's any rules to this stuff because I was drinking, and you would think that like, because I know when I smoke weed, I don't have dreams, and I think that messes up, especially if you're high right before you go to sleep. I kind of think that messes up the process. I don't know, but I know it does for me, because every time I smoke bud, I don't have dreams. Especially if I smoke bud earlier in the day, but like especially if it's like before I go to sleep or something, or a little bit before I go to sleep, I don't have dreams, and so I don't like that. I like my dreams. But anyway, I was drinking it, and I was buzzing pretty good that night, and I took a shower. I remember I took a long shower, and I wasn't trying to do anything. I just went to sleep. But I will say that I had went to sleep on my back. I fell asleep on my back, which is easier when you're buzzing. It's easier to fall asleep, however, whenever you're buzzing. But I yeah, I just went to sleep, and I felt the vibrations, and I went back to that void state, and I was like, okay, I'm here. I was like, this is cool. I'm here in this voidness. So I was like, all right, come out of my body slowly. This time instead of up, 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 I was like, slowly separate from my body. And sure enough, I just slowly came out of my body, and I came out, and I could see, this part of my body as I was coming out of it, and I was uh, just slowly rising out of my bed. I never looked back at my body. I could see it when I first was separating, but then I was just, rising. I was looking around the room, and I was like, oh shit, I'm here. And the whole time I was thinking about what I was gonna do, I was just steadily rising. And I was like, okay, what should I do now that I'm out of my body? You should make a plan for these things. But yeah, I'm just slowly rising. And I remember this dude he was talking about lucid dreams. He was like, when you have a lucid dream, he was like, look at yourself in the mirror. He was like, it'll be crazy what you see. Well, I was in an astral state, but I was still like, all right, let me look at myself in the mirror. And immediately when I said look in the mirror, I kind of like teleported, and I rose up out of this room. And I like, here's the floor. Okay, you can see here's the floor, and I just rose up out of the floor onto my feet, and like this rising action out of the floor, like you can feel it. Like I rose up, and I felt myself plant on the floor, and there was a mirror right in front of me, and I was in this room, and I'm looking in this mirror, and I look like um, energy. That's the best way I can describe it. Like I have a body, but the body looks like energy. It looks like a spirit, kind of, you know. And on my chest, in my chest area, was Tupac, the rapper Tupac. His face was on my chest, and I had all these holes in me, and it wasn't like holes that you could see through to the side. They were just like black holes, you know. I had like 5 of them all over my chest area. And I don't know how many holes I had on me, but they were just holes. And I was looking at myself, and I saw this Pac, and I was like, what is this? And I could see in the mirror behind me more of the room, and behind me there was like this bed, like it was like a circular bed, kind of in the corner of the room. It wasn't too big of a room, and on this bed were pillows, just, and everything looks like energy, you know. Everything kind of just looks cool, you know. Looks like a spirit realm, and um, these pillows were so beautiful, and I saw them in the mirror, and I turned around and I looked at them, and when I was looking at them, they just looked beautiful, and so that gave me an idea because other people talk about, astral travel, whatever, that things are so beautiful. So that's a thought that came to me. I saw these pillows and they were all different colors, and I was like, I want to see something beautiful. That's what I said to myself. And when I said that, immediately, boom, I started like flying, and I kind of like teleported to outer space, and I was flying through outer space, and like all these galaxies, like what a galaxy looks at like from a bigger picture, you kind of see like the center of it and everything swirling around, just what a galaxy would look like. All these galaxies were like, and I was flying, and all these galaxies were like passing by my vision, boom, boom, a lot of them, and it looked cool. But in this time, when I started doing this, when I first came out of my body, I was more in control. I was more conscious and in control. But when this part happened, when I said something beautiful, I started kind of losing it. I wasn't too much in control. I was just going. And all these galaxies were passing by me. And then, like, there was Earth. And I'm flying towards Earth. And I get in, like, the atmosphere of Earth. And this experience of flying, it felt like you were flying, you know? It felt like you were flying. And I'm coming towards Earth, and I'm flying, and I'm loving the experience as I'm flying. So I do the Superman thing. Like, I put out my hands like this, and I do the Superman thing, and I'm just enjoying this experience of flying. And I'm not in control. Like, I'm not controlling where I'm flying, and I'm going towards Earth. And then I start going into this city, and there's this building, I don't know where I'm at, but there's this building, and I just crash straight into the building. And as soon as I crash into the building, I go into more of a dream-like state. Because as soon as I crash into this building, and then my perspective changes, and I'm inside the building looking, and I see the crash, like something crashed into the building. And then it becomes more dreamy, and I pretty much wait. It was like a mall or something, but it was a tall skyscraper building that I crashed into, and I crashed more towards the bottom of it. But I don't know. As soon as I crashed, I'm inside the building looking, and I see the crash, and I see, dust and shit and debris fly from me crashing. And then it was dreamy. I really don't know what happened after that, but soon after that, I came back to my body. And I woke up, and I wake up, and yet again, it was a crazy experience. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I couldn't go back to sleep for a couple hours. But yeah, those are the only 2 times I've astral traveled. And it's crazy. The first time was very much intentional. I intended to do it. The second time, it wasn't. It just happened. But still just as real. Like, I can't explain. When you have this experience, you're not dreaming. That's all I can say. You know that you're conscious. Just like you are now, you're conscious. Like I said, in the second time I astral traveled, I started losing it halfway. And it was probably like, the first time I astral traveled, it was only like, not even 30 seconds, only like a 10-second deal. Because I said up, and I kept going up. It wasn't long at all. And the second time, I'm going to say it was only probably about a minute and a half astral travel. Because I came out of my body, and I was just chilling there for a little bit, just slowly going up in my room. And my room looked like my room. And I thought of looking in the mirror, and then I went straight, planted in that room, whatever room it was, wherever it was. And I looked at the mirror, looked at myself, and so it was probably like only a minute and a half maybe. But it was a shit though. It was a shit. So yeah, those are 2 times I astral projected. And still, I'm much more grounded now. I was fucking, I was in the clouds back then, very much so. in the clouds. Much more grounded now. But and I've had many more lucid dreams than I had astral projections. But I'm going to tell you about this one in particular. This was after my astral projections experience. This was much after. I don't even remember before it. I wasn't trying. Every lucid dream I've had, I wasn't trying to lucid dream. Since I've had my awakening in 2013, like I was atheistic in belief, and then in 2013 I had an experience. I tripped on shrooms, and this shroom trip, which I'll talk about. I have a video talking about that. Ever since that, and my life has just changed so much, and seems like a lifetime. From now to 2013, it seems like so long ago. Like high school, I graduated in 2011, and high school seems so far away. Like my sisters, just a while back ago, I was chilling with her and her friends, and they were talking about how high school seems just like yesterday. Not for me. Not for me at all. Like a year ago seems like a lifetime ago for me. Just the way it seems. But anyway, like I'm trying to pinpoint when I have this lucid dream, but I can't. I can't. But anyway, had this lucid dream, right? And in this lucid dream, and it's like there's this knowing. I'm in this lucid dream, and I'm conscious. And there's this group of people around me. It's kind of like, and there was an instructor. There was a group of people, and there was this instructor. I can't remember what the setting, what environment we were in, but it was like a knowing that we were being taught about lucid dreaming. And it was kind of like if you go tour a college, there's a group of people and there's the tour guide, right? And that's kind of like what the setting was. And there was this person, don't even remember what the person looked like, but there's a group of us. I should have written this stuff down after I had these experiences, but there's a group of us, and there's this knowing that we're being taught about lucid dreaming and kind of how it works. And that's what the instructor is doing. He's talking about this. I don't remember what he was saying, but he's talking about this. There's this group of us, and then we get to the point of flying. And when we get to the flying, the environment was my grandma's house. Like my grandma, she has this long driveway and trees on both sides of the driveway, and that's who we were. And they were like, okay, fly to the end of the driveway. And so we all start flying, and we're all messing up because it's a weird feeling. Lucid dreaming, it was very dreamy, but yet again real. I was very much conscious, and I could like see my body a little bit, when I thought to look at my body. But I'm trying to fly, and it was difficult. Like we're all trying to fly, and we're like running because there's trees, and we're like falling into the trees trying to make it to the end of the driveway. And by the time I got to the end, I was getting it a little bit. I had fell and got stuck in the tree too, like trying to get off of it. And I'm getting it a little bit, but it was weird. It was weird. And when I was flying in the astral, it was more like you think about it and you do it. It was different in the lucid dreaming. Like there was a way to do it in the lucid dreaming, But I make it to the end of the driveway, finally. And then the environment switches again. And it's kind of foggy how this environment was. But anyway, we're in a group again. We're on a group, the instructor, and we're walking this instructor. And he's talking about whatever. And then a couple of us, we kind of just look at each other, and this is probably like 4 or 5 of us. We look at each other and we're like, and we veer away from the instructor and the rest of the group, and they keep going, and we go into like this shed, and we're in this shed and we start smoking bud, like we're smoking this joint. Dude pulls out a joint and we start smoking it, and we're kind of just laughing because we like, it's like when we think of it, it's a knowing amongst us, and we all think the same thought. We're like, oh, we must be the potheads of the group, right? We're all thinking this same thought, and we start laughing, and we're passing this joint around, and it's getting smaller as it passes around, and then we all come to the same thought. We're like, we're dreaming, like we can make whatever we want up. And so we all like think of our own way to smoke. Like I thought of a blunt, and I have this blunt in my head, and we all come to this conclusion kind of at the same time, and we all make our own things to smoke, right? And we look at each other, we smile, and we all go our own ways. We're like, F this, we don't need to we don't need to be doing this, smoking around. I don't need y'all to smoke now. Shit, I got my own shit, right? And we all go our separate ways, and so I start walking, and I come out of the shed, and I can see the instructor and the rest of the group up there, and we kind of all are going. There was a lot of us in this group. I would say there's like 20 of us, and there's some of them that stayed with the instructor, and a lot of us are kind of exploring, doing our own stuff. And I'm walking, I'm smoking my blunt, and when I'm smoking, I can taste the smoke, just like you taste it in this realm, and how it feels. I'm inhaling, exhaling, but I'm not feeling the high of it, though, of smoking. But I'm walking, and I'm sitting here with my blunt, and I'm walking, and I'm like, if I can make this blunt, what else can I just manifest real quick? And so I think of food, and I manifest nachos. I love nachos, Frito chili pie. But I manifest nachos. And I'm walking, and I'm eating these, and like, yeah, it feels like I'm eating nachos, and I can feel the whole sensation of eating nachos, and I'm swallowing it, but I'm not getting full. Now, how badass is that? I mean, that's the whole process of eating, I mean, the getting full sensation feels good too, but the eating process is where it's at, and I wasn't getting full. And I'm walking, I'm eating these nachos, and I'm thinking of that as I'm eating these nachos. I can feel it, and I'm swallowing it, but I don't feel getting full off of it. And this is where my memory of the lucid dream kind of gets crazy, and I start to become less conscious. There was more to the lucid dream, and the reason I say this is because this lucid dream and this process, I mean, it may sound kind of weird to me telling this story, but it was very much real. This is a while back, this is some years back, so I don't really have the memories of this. But after I eat the nachos, I there is some more. I was probably about 3 minutes more of this dream that I had, because I went and did some other stuff, but I really can't remember it enough to really tell you about it. I would kind of just be giving you, but very much real, bro. Like it was real. And like I said before, the lucid dream was more dreamy. It was still real, and I was conscious, but it was more dreamy. The astral travel was more real. I know it's like I'm saying the same thing, but if you understand, you understand. The astral travel is where it's at. That's I'd rather do. I mean, they're both cool, but astral travel is just more of it's just real, bro, and it seems more real time. Because like when I came out of my body and I was like in the couch, or when I was in my room, it felt like real time. Like everything was kind of the same when I was looking around. I didn't really just see things different, but I really wasn't just focusing on the room. I was more focused on what I was about to do, but I was there in my room, you know, whenever I came out of my body on the couch, you know, I saw my body and I saw the living room where I was laying at. But yeah, that's just an experience I had of coming out of my body and the experience of a lucid dream, you know. But yeah, I'm on 30 minutes and I don't try to go too much over 30 minutes. So that's my experience.